You a first generation whitetail hunter. I mean, that's really the best way to describe it. You started in the late 90s. Why did you want to buy your first piece of land?
It's two-sided. One, my dad's a farmer today at 82. He still farms, what, 400 or 500 acres at 82. So I was born and raised behind a John Deere tractor. And so I understood the value of dirt and understood that it was a great investment, let alone. That was part of it. The other part of it was the more I learned, the more I wanted to control what I was doing. And I did a couple leases early on, and leases can be great. The downside of a lease is if you make a spot better, which in my particular case happened, nobody in their family hunted. I was an older gentleman, very nice, and I put a ton of sweat equity into it, made the spot better. Then all of a sudden, deer were getting bigger and more often and more frequent. Then all of a sudden, a grandson came out of the woodwork and started wanting to go deer hunting. Well, you know the rest of the story. I lost the lease.
Mm-hmm.
So that point, I'm like, if I'm going to put time and energy into something that I can control, I want to own it because then it controls my own destiny. Because right there, I was only getting a 12-month return on all the work I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you're okay with that, you're okay with that. I wasn't, and so that's when I changed my mindset. Said I want to own the dirt.
Mm-hmm. Throughout that process, I feel recreational land has changed, like land in general has that. This whole category has really matured, I would say, in the last 15 years, especially. What was that like then versus trying to buy a farm now today? Or it was very similar?
No, it wasn't. Went to a lot of places that whitetail, hunters buying land was really not a thing. It was becoming a thing, but not like it is today. The prices back then were way cheaper than they are now. So that's hard for me to get my head around. But the deer are better today than what they were years ago, too. So there's some trickle down effects of what's going on. I mean, when you look at this industry through YouTube and the internet and the sharing of knowledge podcasts like we're doing tonight, there's just so much more knowledge that people can learn so much faster than what they used to be. And so people are getting better at the game way quicker and they're becoming way more serious. I mean, shoot, way back when there's only a couple food plot seed companies, Biologic and Whitestone Institute.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you can't go to a deer and turkey expo. And I was at the Outdoor Deer Classic last weekend. I think I counted 13 or 14 deer seeds, food plot seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And, only a couple of them I actually knew. The other ones I've never heard of. So there's just so much more avenue out there to learn. And as more knowledge gets out there, people get better. And the land around neighbors are getting better. More people are getting serious about it and management gear and so forth. So the game is stepping up way more than what it started way back when I started.
Mm-hmm. And so as a investor and also land buyer, is that all for the better? Like because the main reason I ask is I felt like there's a lot more inefficiencies in the market, let's say 15 years ago. And I feel like that's only going to continue. The market's only going to get more efficient as time goes on with information. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. It is. I think you got to be a smart, educated buyer. I think you got to know where you're looking, pay attention to the trends, make friends of real estate agents that are in the area you're looking on and play close to them and check their websites as often as you possibly can. Stay in tune to the game because it moves a lot. There's dips and ups and downs and all kinds of different things going on, but staying engaged is the biggest thing, and staying engaged with the right. And everybody, there's different pockets throughout the country that some real estates are better, agents are better than others, companies are better than others. I work with a lot of different companies and a lot of different agents. They all have their specialty, and I just make sure that I talk to them all the time, just see what's going on.
Mm-hmm. What's your take on the land trend right now? I mean, where are we at today, and what is your
It's crazy.
Psyche? It is crazy.
It's crazy.
So like
I would never guessed. I just got a call tonight, 2.5 hours ago. A property really close to me is going to go up for sale, and there's just under 8,000 an acre. No income.
Wow.
Purely rec.
Wow.
And he said, "Are you interested?" And I said, "No."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "I can't. There's no way." And he goes, "Do you think you're selling?" He goes, "I don't know." Well, we're going to find out.
Mm-hmm.
So I just can't put my head around that.
I obviously pay attention to it as well. And it's so hard to guess and anticipate and pontificate on what the future looks like. What do you think the next 12 months would potentially look like for the landmark? Because we have seen an incredible run every time.
The
I
last
feel like
2 years, what,
yeah.
18, 20%? I don't know.
Yeah, in some areas more than that, in different
Yeah.
categories. And so, do you think there's a stabilization? Do you think it continues to keep going? Like the interest rates have gone up drastically, but it seems like it hasn't slowed stuff down. Commodity
Well, there's a
prices
lot
are
of
still high.
cash out there right now, and a lot
Yes.
of 1031 money from what I'm reading and what my information and my sources are telling me. So,
Hmm.
my biggest question is back in the 80s, or in 2008. Let's go. We only have to go back to the 80s, but if we went to 2008, we had some serious crash, and I feel like we're on the bubble of this because it's ramping up so hard and so fast. The interest rates are now going up. And the people who have purchased land in the last 24 months on a 3 to 5 year balloon, I anticipate, I don't know, but I anticipate once they come off that balloon, and if the interest rates are still the way they are today, they will not be able to afford what they own.
Mm.
And so if things don't change, which is a big if, then you're going to see a lot more sellers than buyers. And that's going to drive the market back down.
But to the same point, though, I wonder: is there still enough 1031 money floating around, and then enough cash floating around to continue to prop these prices for a little bit longer, or is that like on a 36-month timeline?
I don't know. I think it all depends on this interest rate.
Hmm.
There is only so much cash to be held, but right now there's not a lot of farms for sale. So the inventory is low. So
Hmm.
that's driving the price high. And the reason why is because, let's face it, the stock market's been very volatile here for the last 18 to 24 months. And the
Hmm.
politics is another podcast we can talk about, not tonight, but, so everybody's like, they want something stable. Well, what's stable?
Land.
An 80 will always be an 80. It may go
Hmm.
up, it may go down, but it's always going to be an 80. So a lot of people who are not in the land business are getting in the land business purely because it's stable.
Hmm.
And so it's really going to boil down to this interest rate, in my opinion, and see if these balloons come up. But right now, it's at a rate that it's hard for me to understand.
Hmm.
It don't
Yeah.
make sense.
But and then it's my whole thing is go back and look 10 years from now, and just it'll be a fun period to look back and see like, oh well, this makes a lot more sense. Like everything makes more sense in hindsight, but when you're on the verge of when like how volatile things are, it's hard to formulate a true opinion that makes sense. But in 10 years it'll make wait like, oh, that's why that's what happened with the land market in 2025. Like, but no, that makes sense. I think to your point, just the lack of inventory is obviously keeping prices where they're at and still
Yeah.
climbing. Are you still in a buying mode if you see something that you really like?
I will buy if the number's right and it makes sense. I'm a very conservative buyer. There's a lot of people out there that just, money is, they're chasing the whitetail across the countryside more than they're chasing the dollar in a reasonable mindset. So I try to stay, my wife disagrees with me, but I try to stay somewhat reasonable because some of these prices, I've walked away some farms that I would like to buy, but I don't think the value is there, and it scares me what's going to happen in 24 to 36 months. I don't know.
What do you mean by what scares you? Meaning they could continue to rise, or that you just want to preserve cash?
I think they're going to fall. I think the prices that we're seeing are just so high that I don't understand. When you can buy a tillable farm less than what you're buying a rec farm, to me that's backwards.
Mm, that's fair.
Is how I'm coming up with the analogy. So if you go buy a 85 or 90% tillable farm in these Midwestern states that are good whitetail country, and you can buy one plus or minus the same dollars and cents or a little less,
Hmm.
I'm not so sure you should be buying a rec farm at, let's just call it $6,000 an acre. If you can go buy a rec farm for 6, and you can buy a tillable farm that's going to give you 4 or 5, 6% return, I don't know if that's a good, smart investment.
I hope you guys enjoyed this. My name is Jake Hofer, and I'm a real estate agent out of the state of Illinois, and it's my goal to help 100 people buy their first farm. Been doing that with the Land Podcast and clips like this every single Thursday and Saturday that are released here on the channel. And to be one of those 100 people, all you have to do is, if you're in the state of Illinois and I can help you, I'd be happy to do so. Number 2, if you want to get connected with someone that can help you, reach out and I'll be happy to get you in contact with an agent that I would personally do business with. And the last one is, if you just simply learn something from the content we're putting out, or you get inspired to take action, I want to know, get you out of that spreadsheet. I'm on a mission to help 100 people. Until next time, see ya.